Oh my goodness, it's 9 o'clock in New York on the East Coast, and it's 6 o'clock in the Pacific. Let's just get started. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 761. Let that sit
Ooh.
in alongside I couldn't do it without him, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. Doing wonderful this evening. It was hurried, but we are here. We made it. We about to get into these topics, girl.
Sometimes Wednesdays can be a little anxiety driven. It's
Oh
like the middle of the
yeah.
week, but it's like you ramped up your energy and it's meetings, it's this, it's that. But somehow we pull it together, and there is something about live. Many of you listening to us should join us if you're only hear us when the show drops. It's a lot
True.
of fun, and we are live, and you guys get to comment and we pull you in. So this is just a little PSA to join us on our live show. But we
That's
have a
right.
lot to talk about. We have two sex talks to get into before we get into hot topics, advice, and thirst trap. And the first one comes from a a person that has a new book. Ryan O'Connell is an actor, writer that has been in Queer as Folk. I think it's like the new edition of Queer as Folk, I believe. He has a
Mhm.
new memoir coming out, interviews and essays that are essentially about sexual experiences, sometimes awkward, liberating, messy, vulnerable, hot, par for the core,
I know,
which
right?
helped him understand himself more deeply, and he's sharing it and navigating intimacy and open relationships in his new memoir that comes out in the next week. So we thought it would be fun, based on what he's talking about, his sexual experiences, about what are some things that have got us to change because of our sexual experiences throughout the years. And based on his book, first off, do you want to read this book? Is it a summer read for you, Cody?
Right? It
I
sounds like a
mean,
really good read, and it's just challenging and sexy at the same time. So I actually can't wait to get into it.
and one of the things he talks about by writing the book is he's open, unapologetic, and uninhibited, and thinks that, like, aside from things like heated rivalry in
Mhm.
recent pop culture moments, that we're not getting a lot of real moments. And if you can do it in literature or a book, he's sharing us his real life experiences. I am on the heels next week of launching my Substack that is going to
Oh.
take the show, and you will see a different side of myself. It's a chance for me to take what I've learned in 8+ years of doing this show and give just a little bit more of what's my mind and my experiences and my thoughts. And so it couldn't come at a better time, and more on my Substack coming out soon. But we thought, based on Ryan O'Connell's upcoming memoir, that we would post a few things and discuss what experiences changed the way we approached sex.
Mhm.
And if you want me to start first, I will, Cody, because I could see you twisting my
Yes,
arm over
please.
there.
You know.
You're just getting it together. It's early in the show here, and we're just like getting, the bartenders are mixing our
I was
cocktails. We
gonna
just
say after a
entered the
couple sips,
room.
I'll get it together.
Paint a picture here. We are developing your evening, day, whatever you are, whenever you're listening to us. But what
Growl.
experiences changed the way we approached sex? And honestly, you're gonna hear this a lot, and you're probably sick of hearing it, but a lot had to do with the New York Eagle for me, because prior to that, it wasn't like I was a prude. It wasn't like I wasn't having sexual experiences. I was actually a go-go dancer back in the day, but what changed for me and changed a lot of my sexual experiences was when I moved to New York in my actually mid late 30s, that somebody brought me to the New York Eagle, and I learned about a subculture of community and BDSM culture and all that comes up
Mhm.
with the BDSM culture. And along with that came confidence, exploration, and trying new things that really changed the way I approach sex. I became there's so many more things we can go into it, but it was really going to the New York Eagle that changed me. If you had to say one thing that changed you, what would it be?
Well, after my breakup, I was just started having a lot of sex, and I feel like I hadn't leaned into the more dominant side. I was like, it was more of a give and take. I feel like for me, it was I was kind of like in the middle. I wasn't really submissive, but I wasn't really dominant either. But I feel like coming out of that relationship and having a lot of the uh, preconceived notions of what I wanted from a relationship, I kind of just let them go because it was mainly about sex. So I think that those experiences early in the beginning allowed me to kind of tap into my more dominant nature. And I feel like it allowed me to be more free. So I definitely would say those early experiences and like allowing my dominant uh, tendencies to come to the forefront. So yeah,
That's so interesting that you would say that too, because in all of your stories, I think of you as like a dominant top, but I think you're a pretty boy, if I can just use that term.
oh me, no.
And you've always looked younger than your age, and
Thank
I
you.
always have too. And I don't know
Yes.
if it's your story, but a lot of people put me in the "Oh, he looks so young and pretty, and let's make him my bottom boy," and a lot of it for me fell into that category of pleasing tops and falling into a box that said that, "Oh, I'm going to be that pretty boy bottom for whomever I come in contact with," and it worked for a while, but until it didn't, right?
Yeah.
And as I moved to New York and I learned about a different culture, I learned that, oh my gosh, I actually have a say in what I do sexually. I actually can be versatile. I have a big dick. I can also be a top. And it's been really,
Clock
I don't
it.
know if it's sad, but it's taken me so many years to realize that the full spectrum of my sexuality and what I can actually explore, and I'm still exploring at the same time.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you that when a
No.
lot of us of a certain era were put inside of a box on what we looked pretty, we looked a certain way, and we were whether we did it to ourselves, we were expected to perform in a certain role.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, initially in my relationship with my ex from 2000-ish, 2007-ish,
Oh, we're
I was
going
the
back to
bottom
the
the entire
early millenn
Woo, girl, the early aughts, honey. I was the bottom the entire time because I was smaller. I
Yeah.
was twinkier back then because, girl, she was fresh and young.
Fresh young meat.
19. No, she wasn't 19, but cut a few years off.
Mhm.
But so yeah, no, I definitely was the bottom the entire time. And also, you fall into it doesn't necessarily have to be top and bottom. You can fall into a box, quote unquote, of uh, what your expectations are as far as like just the way you look. I was a very good boy for a very long time, and I look like a very good boy. People stop me on the street for directions, and I don't know why. I'm like, get the hell out of my face.
Now, don't even start, Cody, because
No,
yeah.
no, no. But I feel like a lot of that came with preconceived notions about how I had sex. I wasn't as aggressive in the bed because I was quote unquote a good boy. So yes, I feel like that box can be for anybody at any time. So yeah.
And if we were to turn the story to what initially some sexy, fun terms on, did a did a hookup ever unexpectedly teach you something deep at all of our sexual experiences? And I'll go first. Mine was I'm going to be literal. Did a hookup ever unexpectedly teach me something about deep? It was fisting. I got into literally deepness of the fisting, and I was exploring it, Cody, for a period of time,
Hmm.
and more to come on my Substack coming out soon. But I it really was deep sensual pleasure. I don't know that I learned a lot about myself because with fisting, you have to take a lot of time. And I think a lot of people think like it's so, I don't know. It is, "Oh, I would never do that." Actually, it takes more time than a wham bam, thank you ma'am sex experience, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
fucking. You actually have to connect with the person, and I'm not saying I'll never go back to it, but it was an experience that I had that was deeper, that changed my perspective on sex. Do you have a deeper experience that changed your perspective on sex throughout the years?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for me, a lot of hookups have been wham, like you said, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And I feel like there were a couple hookups where I had where yes, you are just having sex, but I feel like there's a connection there, and that sex with a connection is much better. So I feel like my experiences recently, and even before I broke up with my ex, I feel like a lot of those have shown me that you have to be able to connect with the people that you have sex with in order for, especially for me, in order to make it like really good sex. Because
You
I can come easily, but the connection just takes it to the next level.
Is there a time when some sexual experience made you finally feel desired? And that's an interesting question, based on what the author is talking about. And when I felt desired, I thought I felt desired when I was a go-go dancer in the 90s in San Francisco, when people were giving me dollars and I was getting booked left and right. But it really was actually a fleeting moment. It really ended up becoming the BDSM moments of the New York Eagle when I was starting to explore BDSM culture, like flogging, getting flogged, like fisting, that I felt desired, but more for me and what I was giving to the table. In other words, I was revealing more of myself, not just being a pinup boy, if you will. It
Hmm.
was putting myself out there in a way that I felt a desired and hot, but I was giving so much more of myself, and it was different from the old days of just being photographed or getting dollar bills in my jock strap. That was fleeting, I think. Have you ever
Yeah.
felt a moment that you felt more desired?
I would say, I this is funny because I feel like when I've been to bathhouses, I that's when for me I feel like I have felt the most desired. So the perfect example is I went to my in my first relationship. I went to it wasn't my first relationship. It was my first serious relationship. And back in 2007, the same one, we went to a bathhouse together, and we didn't have sex with anybody
Mm.
else. We just fucked in front of all of these people. We were on display for all of these people. They would touch us. They touched us a little bit, but we wouldn't really allow a lot of groping. But just us being there and having sex in front of all these people, that I felt so desired. I felt so beautiful. I felt like connected to them, even though they weren't touching us. And that experience in and of itself made me feel very, very desired. So I feel like that's one of the first ones. But every time I go to a bathhouse, or even like a sex club or something like that, I feel like that only helps enhance the desire that I feel for myself, and the desire that I feel from other people. So yeah.
Well, we're talking about Ryan O'Connell, the actor, gay actor's new memoir coming out soon about revealing all of his sexual experiences and how some of them were awkward, liberating, messy, but how they helped him understand himself in a more deep intimacy way. And if we could turn it to a little more sexy, fun turns, what is something you thought was hot at 25, Cody, that exhausts you now? If you want, I can start.
Go ahead.
Happy to start. It had to do, it wasn't even really 25. It was using my sexuality to make money. And when I first moved to New
Mm.
York, I put myself on Craigslist. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I did M for M massage and and naked yoga courses, but of course it turned into something more. And it was interesting and it was fun, and I made a coin when I needed the money. but it also was not where I'm at now. And
Mhm.
like I'm about to relaunch my OnlyFans, but for people to give inspiration for people of a certain age how
Mm.
to navigate this, and I'm going to give some amazing tips, and it's going to be really fun, and you don't have to be of a certain age, but it still can be fun and sexy. But I think at that time I was doing it because I still felt like I was put in a box, and I still felt like I had to do it to and do what people told me to do. And so that's something that I would not do. But what would be something for you if what's something of your 25-year-old self that it would exhaust? What's something you thought was hot at 25 that exhausts you now?
Well, you have such a deep answer. Mine is an actual sexual act. I 69 for me. I used to think it was so hot, but now
Oh my
it's just
God, that's a good
exhausting.
one.
I hate it. I did it the
You
other
know
night
what?
with a
Good
guy.
point. Let's break that down. It's so like, if somebody wrote that in a sex romantic novel, it would be like, "Ugh," like,
Ugh,
scrap it,
it's
because
so much work.
ultimately, when it comes down to it, don't you agree? Like, go down on me, worship me, and it's that moment,
And
but
I'll
it's not
worship you.
this. Yeah, and then later it could flip it, reverse it, Missy Elliott, all of that, and you can do all that, but it's not about, like, this I that even the way you're lying down on the bed, it's
Ugh,
just, like,
it's so horrible.
it's cringy, right?
It was actually, it was kinda hot the other night, but
Oh, okay.
in general practice, because maybe it was because I was eating his ass and not trying to suck his dick. I feel like for me, I have to be, like, really focused to suck dick, and I can get lost in eating
Well, wait, you
ass.
brought up something that's really good. If you're eating his ass and he's sucking your dick, that's a
Yeah.
different type of 69 that I'm for. But if it's both like go down on me and I'll go down on you, and that 69 feels forced. But if it's eating ass and dick sucking, I feel like it's one of them's preparing the other one, and it's,
It's more about
you see,
preparation instead of
preparation.
it being a sexual act. It's leading up to the sex. Thank you, Steve. We broke this down like 2,
The voice
uh,
of reason. Yeah,
2
exactly.
psychologists.
Oh my
We're teaching a class
god.
here. The do's and don'ts
Okay,
of 69.
let's continue. Well, his book is coming out soon, and we want to continue this conversation on basically where you are at with all of this. And then what I'm talking about is Ryan O'Connell's new memoir coming out. And let us know, we can continue the conversation on our Tags Patreon community. But we have two sex talks. The next one is a little bit more political,
Yeah,
and it had to do with two iconic people that I love. One is RuPaul, one is, oh my gosh,
Pedro
uh,
Almo
Pedro
Almo
Amoldovar, who I've watched
yes.
every single film he's ever done. Both of them had conflicting messages this week. One of them, RuPaul, was basically suggesting that people need to protect their energy because fear and outrage can consume your life right now. And he also brought up the fact that there has been a lack of education. Is that what he used the word education, Cody?
Yes, yes.
Of For 40 years, we've had a lack of education. So people are not getting, so there's all these conspiracy theories, what he was suggesting. So what he was really saying in a statement on his follower page was that we really just need to dance. Now, I'm all for his messaging of there's fascism now and we just need to dance, and I've worked with the second half of his message. But on the same week, Pedro Amoldovar criticized Hollywood and celebrities for not speaking up enough politically, saying silence during dangerous times is a problem. So I couldn't help but think two of my favorite people had different messaging in the same week. And where do we land? I think it's somewhere in between, Cody. In
Yeah.
other words, I think I definitely agree with Pedro Almodovar in many ways, coming off of the heels of I just heard Billy Bob Thornton, major actor, say, I don't understand why so many actors feel the need to be political. I'm not political. I'm not educated enough on this. And I thought, Billy Bob, fine. If you don't want
To
to speak
RuPaul's
on
point.
this, if you don't want to speak on this, you don't have to. But if, you know, De Niro and Kerry Washington and Jane Fonda want to speak up politically, or if Meryl Streep doesn't want to go to the Met Gala to make a statement because Bezos, who owns Amazon, is the top tier on the Met Gala right now, and she's making a political statement. You have every right. In other words, platform matters to me. We have a platform here. We don't get that political, but we still get political in our way as it
Mhm.
relates to our LGBTQ community. So shut up, Billy Bob. If you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to. But when it comes to this, I thought RuPaul's messaging, the dancing part of it, which is my theme this year of I want to dance. Before I knew any of these messaging or Madonna's album, I dedicated this year to I want to dance in 2026. But I think it's a little tone deaf to also just think that, RuPaul, that 40 some odd years and that we're not going to say anything. I think we owe it to ourselves if you have a platform and if you want to speak.
Yeah.
And I also agree with Pedro Amoldovar that, maybe you don't have to speak up at the Oscars, but you can do it in your way. Like another Pedro that we love has done it with his trans sister and done it in different ways. What do you say to all this moment that we're in where people are feeling like
Yeah,
they
I
have to
think
almost talk
that
about this?
Sorry. Yeah, I think that it is, we have to protest each in our own way, of course. And I think that joy, whether it be Black joy, queer joy, any maligned or marginalized person that expresses joy, I think that is a way of pushing back against the system. So I think that in and of itself is a protest. But I don't think that RuPaul was trying to say, don't fight back. RuPaul advocates very heavily for us to vote on their show. And I think that what he was trying to say was that in addition to fighting back, we also have to have fun because the fun it fuels the fight. Honestly, if we are just fight, fight, fight constantly, then that's a way for us to get exhausted in this fight, and that's not the way we need to be doing. That's not what we need to be doing as far as the fight is concerned. So I think that if we have some balance out there, and that the balance is actually pushing us forward on both fronts. I think that is what RuPaul was trying to say, at least from my perspective, because I love me some Mama Ru, and so I think that that is what they were actually trying to say, but they were just wanted to focus on the fun because I think that they have all this time and experience from actually focusing on the fight as well.
Let me read you a quote and we'll discuss it a little bit more. What he also said is when you talk about rational thinking or critical thinking, who
Take
would
a
we
sip.
be talking to? Most of the population don't know how to do that. They weren't taught how to do that. They believe in superstition and fairy tales. So the bad guys win. They won, he continues to say. Fascism is back. Yay, he adds sardonically. I mean, at this point, the only thing we can do, our only competence, is to party and dance and to have fun and laugh. Let's play games because they got what they wanted. They got it. So I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be having fun. Join me. I I'm with him in the last part because that's really where I'm at too. But no, I disagree with him on they didn't win. It is, I think a lot of people think in this administration that this is the new way. He,
Hmm.
and I don't want to say his name, is only in office for the next 3 years. I think it's a pendulum swing, and we do have our voices. And I bring up the point where you and I went to the Stonewall, where they took down the LGBTQ flag, and
Mhm.
we were there for the raising of it, and guess what? It won. It actually is raised up. It won against what Trump was saying, that the only flag that can be raised is the American flag. And so I do think we have to fight, and I do think RuPaul is probably about that, but I thought it was a little bit careless on the ending of his statement.
Yeah, I hear that, and I totally agree, and I just think it's hilarious that, RuPaul said that a lot of people are uneducated on it, as far as things are concerned, so, I think that they were RuPaul was talking about how they were doing budget cuts on the public school system and everything like that since, the early '80s, I'm gonna say. I'm doing math in my head right now, and we all know that that is not, well, they cut the public schools, girl, so here we are with my math skills.
I love it. Oh my god. Well, moving on, I think yes, so let's keep it at that, but a hot topic, and we're moving into hot topics now, a hot topic that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but that relates to exactly what we're talking about, is the one and only Margaret Cho. I've loved Margaret for years and years, comedian, actress. Margaret Cho turned down heated rivalry over fears of ICE. The out bisexual comment was concerned her criticism of the Trump administration would make her a target for detention at the Canada border. And all I have to say is look at Kathy Griffin, who has been fearless and is on tour right now. If you're going to critique a administration and you're then going to backtrack it. She turned down a role in Heated Rivalry. And now that she knows, because it goes on to say that it's been a super success, that she wants in on season two. Well, if I was the creators, I would say, absolutely not. We've rewritten your part and we don't need you now. Because I think you, Margaret, I used to be such a huge Margaret Cho fan, and I still like her, but that rubbed me the wrong way that you lived in fear and you turned down a role, and now don't expect them coming back to you. You might be, it's like, no, I don't want to, if I hope she does not get cast in season two. I want somebody else cast in, because you went with fear and you used to be such an iconic role model for me, and now you're not.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with you, unfortunately. I think that she had a legitimate fear because, first of all, she's outspoken about against the Trump administration, but also she's an Asian American, and I think that, like, I see your point with Kathy Griffin, but Kathy Griffin is a white lady, and so I feel like. We've seen people detained for much less, honestly. So I really think that that was a concern of hers, and I'm not going to delegitimize it. I think that she had a right to be scared because that's something that I feel like could have actually transpired had she taken that risk. She may have been, there's a chance that she could have been detained. So I'm not
But
going to blame her for it.
okay, let's just break it down. She's an American, so there is no chance that she should have ever been detained. And she's an actress. She is not, she's an American, Korean American. So, no, she would have never been detained. And to act, I know plenty of people in my world that are, trying to get their visas and such. Okay, I would get that. She has been an outspoken actress, advocate, and I just think it's a crop of shit. You're an American and you turn down a role and now you want to come back. It's like, no, girl. You're always, nobody can do that to a legitimate American. And she is living in
They've
fear.
done it. Yeah, I hear you. Agree to disagree. I think that they detain plenty of Americans at the border, and so I mean, I can't blame her. So I, yeah.
I totally blame her, and I think she is no longer my hero right now,
Oh,
and yeah, but she's just not. But other people are, and there's a lot of people that are outspoken, and I'm with them right now. Somebody that is causing a little bit of controversy right now is Britney Spears' ex, Sam Asghari. who stripped down for a prep campaign. Asghari appeared alongside RuPaul's Drag Race favorite pit crew members, Bruno, who we all love, in a steamy,
Ooh.
dripping wet sauna video. Well, I saw it all. It was produced by Mr., who we've had on the show before, is Tristan Shoecraft, who now owns so many, he's taking over our gay life, including the Abbey in West Hollywood. There is the beautiful, iconic Puerto Vallarta hotel that he now owns, Fire Island, and so forth. He probably cast Sam Asghari as his member. I was okay with this because straight men can also benefit by taking PrEP, Cody.
Mhm,
But
yeah.
where I drew the line and thought, and there was plenty of people that agreed with me, was the fact that all of the pit crew in every single photo moment were fawning over him, touching his body, as if to suggest are we queer baiting here? Because Sam, as last we heard, is not of our persuasion, is not gay. And why was he the choice? I don't know. You said in our meeting that if he had just done the campaign solo,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. He can be an ally. But what did you think about some of the backlash of, oh, he's now being fawned over by all of these pit crew, which you looked at most of them and determined that most of the pit crew, as far as you can determine, your spidey
Yes.
senses are gay.
I mean, I wish I could put my 100% stamp on it that from experience, but I have not slept
Okay.
with any of those men, but I you know what? If we were doing like a whole research assignment on it, I volunteer as tribute to make sure that all those men are gay. But yeah, because yeah, just from their socials and having previous knowledge of them, I would 90% of them I know for a fact are gay because like Simon Sherry Wood is there. He was in the real world. There's a couple more people, Ty Talley. So yeah, and they're all like you said, they're all fawning over him, and I think that that sends the message that we should as gay men should be felt like we're the next step under this straight guy. Like it's an underlying message. I'm sure that was super unintended because the Mister it was Christian
Tristan, yeah,
Tristan, yes.
I'm
I'm
with
sure
you.
that's not what he intended. I think that he just, saw Sam Asghari, who is a beautiful man, and thought that, okay, he's Britney's ex, and he's super hot right now because he was just on Traders, and I think that was his it was his idea or his intention to actually kind of, have the brand get this message out through the lens of having this really famous person on.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say is I often go with a visceral reaction that I have, and I have no beef with Sam. I think he's beautiful like
He's a
everybody else does.
beautiful. I
Beautiful
just looked at the
man.
video. Whew.
Beautiful man, but my initial if I just had to go with my initial thoughts, it did rub me a little bit the wrong way when I saw some of the pictures of the guys, fawning all over him, but do I think that every straight man can also benefit from PrEP? Absolutely, and I like that messaging. I liked your messaging that you told us in our meeting earlier today, that if it had just been a campaign by him solo self, it would have
Mhm.
been great. But to suggest that in the campaign that he is available with these other gay men and we're all lucky to be around him and touch his body is a little bit
Right?
of a misstep. And it goes into queer baiting. And if that loses the messaging, I think, in the end. So could he have been used for the campaign? Absolutely. Was it maybe misused? Perhaps. You get to decide. Let us know what you think. And that's just where we're coming across. But I'm already on PrEP, so this messaging doesn't really affect me.
Right.
But if I was trying to get new people in it, to take this medication, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You weigh in with us and let us know. Well, recently we talked about the gay dads that were also in West Hollywood recently that thought they were being interviewed by CNN. The two gay dads were with their baby, walking their baby in the stroller along probably Santa Monica Boulevard when a fake MAGA interviewer actually, the gay couple, David and Anthony Boleyn, were slammed basically when a MAGA influencer, Riley Naomi, approached the couple who were taking a walk with their young son, Auntie, under the guise of an interview with CNN. Well, now we've talked about it recently, and we talked about how the couple, then one of the fathers punched, basically took it into his own hands and realizes maybe his actions weren't great. But it all CNN ended up, Kodi, interviewing this couple, and what the
Okay.
couple said that there's a whole new wave, including with GLAAD, that says our media, our LGBTQ media is under threat right now because there is a whole influence of influencers that are looking for this type of provocative media that will instigate confrontation, that will get you riled up for their own media content because it will go viral. What do you have to say to this? And now the real CNN actually interviewed this couple. They got to tell their story, but it's a big problem, especially when GLAAD now says we are at an all-time high when Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, is being not protecting our rights.
Yeah. I just saw a post today from Terry, I forget his last name, but he's Dan Savage's husband, and he was saying
Oh.
his Instagram is under attack, that he might not be on Instagram anymore. So everybody watch out for your Instagrams because they are going after LGBTQ
There's a
plus
different
people
story,
and
Kodi, just to
content.
block you, that we're under threat of getting our LGBTQ platforms like Instagram taken down with no
See?
reason.
See, there it is, and it's happening. But what you're talking about, and what we're talking about with this couple, is like rage baiting, and there's like
Rage
two
baiting.
forms.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, there's two forms of it. Like there's behind the computer screen, and you post something in order to get people to interact with you online. Like you say, "Oh, Madonna is horrible," and then people get mad. And they interact with you more, and that drives the algorithm. Now there's this other rage baiting where people on the street say something to piss you off, and that one is a lot more dangerous
It's set
because
up.
yeah, it's insidious, and I think that with what this couple did, any parent would do. I know if I was just out last night and somebody got a little bit like was almost stepping on somebody that I was with, and I was like, "Sir, do you not see this person standing here?" Like that's just the type of protective person that I am. And we exchanged words, but in the end, he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna stand over here now." But I was like, "Why are you even like you're
Can I
stepping on
tell
this
us
young
a
girl?
personal
She's like
story of you that
21."
can I tell a personal story
Uh-oh,
of
here we
you that
yes, go.
our other so Cody and I and Diego have this other friend of ours that is a bartender at a major bar here in New York, and
Mhm.
we were all out at a place
Hey,
called The
boo.
Cock recently, and there was somebody that was like listening into our conversations at a night out, and I'll never forget our mutual friend told the story that Cody because the guy was like listening in and listening to your guys' conversation and
Mhm.
inserting himself. And what he said, because the guy was like crossing a line, and you told our mutual friend, "Do you want me to like take care of this guy?" And I was like, "Yep, that's Cody. Cody can go there because he's a protector, and if everybody thinks Cody's like nicey nicey, and you are,
And
but
I am.
and our mutual friend felt really protected, and also it meant a lot to him because he felt secure that you were willing to go to like cross that mile
Mhm.
to, do you want me to take care of this? Because I will. And ultimately it didn't go there and it was all
Yeah.
fine. But you know, we forget that oftentimes we love to go out, we love to have a good time. There's some crazy people out there that
There's
don't
some
know how to handle themselves.
don't talk to the crazies, okay? If you get an inclination that they are crazy, back away. Please don't approach that person because I've dealt with some crazy people too, and I just book it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your safety. But, and I'm not the type of person to just start like going insane and like hitting people from nowhere. But I will say something because, like you said, I'm a protective person and I feel like, I love my friends and I just really don't want anybody to take advantage of them. So that really like rubs me the wrong way. So yeah,
And but I just want to give you your props and your roses
thank you, boo.
because it was well received by our friend, and when he told me, I was like,
I
"Oh my
adore
god,
him.
that sounds like my bestie co-host here that he would
Am I
do
gonna
that."
cry here? Ugh,
Yeah,
my
I mean,
makeup.
I forget what the original topic was, but but
Me too.
yeah, I know. Well, it goes back to those gay dads in West
Yes,
Hollywood that were
protective
simply walking down
of
the
their
street
child.
with their child and were fooled to think that by a gay influencer that was it's also called, you named it in a different way, it's also called exploitive,
Yes, it is.
exploiting people for your content, and it's awful, and we're here to call it out, and we are not here for it. So
That's right.
absolutely not. uh there is a new story that says OnlyFans faces a new era as creators warn it's too crowded. This was expected, Cody.
Mhm.
For basically, the story goes on to say that OnlyFans, and there's one in particular that said the gold rush days are over. Adult content creator Josh Bigosh at Beef Otter posted a TikTok video sharing his thoughts on where the platform stands today. He basically said that in his car, a setting that somehow feels, you know, the OnlyFans gold rush days are over. He went on to say it feels like everybody in their situationship has joined the platform, suggesting that the market has become a pact with creators all competing for the same subscribers. It was funny, sharp, and honest, according to QWERTY. But upon deeper look, this wasn't really that surprising to me, Cody, because I'm
Mhm.
reporting. I've been on the platform and I'm about to relaunch, but in a different way and a little bit more. But a lot of people said things like, "I'd rather go back to putting a $5 bill in a stripper's jock strap. In real life is
Let's
always
do it.
better." Somebody said
Snipe.
OnlyFans is about as wasteful as influencers are. Why waste money on any of it? And somebody said, basically suggested that he's just not as hot as he thinks he is, and people aren't coming his way. And I was kind of for it too because
Wow.
I wouldn't subscribe to his platform at all. I would,
Steve.
well, I wouldn't, and I'm being honest. And I think that, but he is correct in that, like everything gets a little bit, weeded out a little bit. And I'm about to go back on the platform, but I wouldn't subscribe to his because I didn't like his content.
Oh my, spicy, spicy tonight. No, he's all
Am I
he's
like wrong for saying how I
no,
really
no, no, you're
feel?
not. You're not. No, no, you're not wrong. I'm sorry. I just thought it was funny and cute. But yeah, because I do agree with you. I don't think I would just subscribe to this, but I don't really subscribe to a lot of OnlyFans. I was about to subscribe to, there's this guy, his name is, I forget, it escapes me. It's like body something, and his body is beautiful. His face is beautiful. This guy, he has a really nice body. I don't think that I would subscribe to it, but I do agree that the market is saturated and that he's right. I think that he, because he said in the video that you can, like, if you went and spoke to somebody and said, oh, what do you do, and they said OnlyFans, they would be like, oh my gosh, clutch my pearls. But now you say it and you're like, oh, another one that does that. So it's become much less
But that's everything,
taboo.
Cody. That's
Yeah.
like podcasts. When we started 8, 9 years ago, we were the third platform for gay sexuality on gay podcasts. And now everybody and their grandmother has a podcast, and it's just the name of the game, and it's just a different time frame, and that's great. I welcome all the competitors, but we
Oh,
were on
yeah.
the early days of it, just for the record, y'all. And we were. I mean, I was. And so to put on TikTok your theorizing on, it's like, girl, bye. Just
You can
do
handle
a
the
better
competition,
job.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Competition. I think there's room for everybody too, because just like with music, not everybody's gonna like one particular type of, sex or boy or style of OnlyFans. So I think that there's room for everybody. Oops. Go ahead.
Let's talk about that because it's another hot topic that we've been talking about the Pussycat Dolls, and the Pussycat Dolls are going to, I think it's soon in June, headline WeHo Pride,
Yep.
and they
The
were
fifth or
set to
something.
go on a national tour here in the States. They have had to nix all of those dates. They are going to do a few dates in Europe, but it speaks to a larger theme of other tours that have had to nix their tours. And it's a whole theme right now, Cody. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it because a lot of Demi Lovato, there. I mean, I can go on and on. Billboard just did a whole thing on all of the artists that have had to cancel their summer tour plans because they're not selling out, and a lot of it has to do with a conglomeration of high price tickets that people
Yeah,
do not
girl.
can't pay right now. I mean, the fees, and it's just a whole thing. What do you think of this, of like tours that are having to cancel, and it's speaking to a global issue?
Oh, definitely. I feel like the economy is a huge contributing factor because, we're going through what we're going through. And I think, but a lot of them were citing like creative differences, which I can definitely attest to. Or, yeah, I feel like some of it is the creative part of it, which I can attest to. Sorry. I feel like when you run into speed bumps when it comes to being creative and actually having things like gel and formulate together, then that can really throw off your timeline. So I can see how those things would really affect when a tour can actually happen because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to something like that. And Dolly Parton was running into health concerns. So I hope, knock on wood,
Yeah, a
Auntie
lot of people
Dolly,
had
I feel
health
like we
a
need
lot of
her.
people had health concerns. A lot of people had different reasons for changing their tour, and but if you look at the grid, if you think you're gonna go on a tour and sell out these dates, and it's called a blue theory, if there's too many blue dots, meaning free seats, that you're not selling,
Hmm.
do you think it, because as we've learned throughout the years that music is no longer about selling album sales anymore, it's about touring,
Oh, yeah, it's been like that
but
forever.
we're in a current mode right now where a lot of it is travel. A lot of people want to do just Madison Square Garden and do like 10 days here. Well, that just means that you have to get to New York. Well, that means hotel prices in New York are at an all-time premium. So,
Mhm.
at what point does it not make sense to come to New York to see this artist that you like, and it doesn't make sense anymore? So,
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with the current state of the world, the war, the which is making travel crazy, us watching our budgets, and it's affecting everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like all of those components add up to us being, not really having a lot of tours going around. I feel like there's only one or two artists I would actually give my whole paycheck in order to see. And I feel like that's where we are. Alan in the comments says Ticketmaster is a criminal. They have made going to concerts out of reach, which sucks. And I completely agree with that. I feel like the ticket prices are definitely, they were too high when it wasn't. this going on, this type of recession that we have going on right now, and they are holding steady at that price. I feel like, a lot of it. There's a lot of conjecture about why, but I feel like for me personally, I wouldn't. If it's not Beyonce, Madonna, or Janet Jackson, I'm not paying $300 or
Yeah,
four
me
hundred
too.
dollars in order to. But you know what? When Beyonce comes out with her tour, I might have to mortgage the house I don't own. So
It's crazy,
it is
and
crazy.
hearing, you know, maybe it will be a good thing for artists like yourself that you can do more, not stadium tours, but you can do tours and be a part
Ooh,
of rides, and it will be a good thing for you. By the
yes.
way, our co-host has a brand new EP out, a brand new music video. It's called Thing of Beauty, correct?
Yep, that's right.
The EP and the music video right now, where you can watch everywhere, is proof of love.
That's it. You better work. Thank you, boo.
Well, we love giving advice, and today is no different. And I love this one, and you did too, when it asked the
Yes.
question, are you your type? What? As gay guys, we are in a unique position that we are looking at and being attracted to people that can look remarkably similar to ourselves physically. And I feel a bit alone in the feeling that I want a guy that looks like me. Really? At the risk of sounding conceited, I really have minimal attraction to a lot of stereotypical gay men: hairy, ripped, bear, otter, twink, etc. So, back to my main point, are you your type? And generally, would you say it's common or uncommon to be attracted to someone that's physically very similar to yourself? Or are most gay relationships usually two different types? Ugh, I cringe at the whole question of this because
Okay.
I've always been attracted to people that were different from me, that inspired me. I mean, my husband does not look at all like me, and I was just attracted to him. And when the conversation began and he told me about something that I was already interested, but he had way more experience in, which was hiking, and he showed me the pictures on what beautiful outdoor excursions like hiking could be, and we ultimately did it. It just took me to another level. So the idea, I've never wanted to look, I do my best to look as attractive as, like, I do my best at, given my God-given gifts of what I look like, I take care of my skin, I work out, but I'm working with what I got. I don't want to date, marry anybody that looks like me. That's so cringy and weird. I admire Diego for his beauty and what he looked like and what he had to offer to the table. So this whole premise is just weird to me, but we all know plenty of gays that look like their
Girl.
partners.
Girl. Gay brothers, honey. They look like twins.
There's somebody in our building that we call them the Frenchies, and right, Diego, don't they kind of look like each other? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can't wait to meet the Frenchie.
They're not listening tonight.
I hope so too.
I'm a,
You might cut this out. So let me get to the so what I I think I said this maybe last episode or the episode before.
yeah.
Um I have read a book where you you should, well, I think that as far as dating, as far as dating is concerned, you should try and emulate the characteristics or the body type or what have you, as far as going out and dating somebody else. So I feel like for me, I would date myself. I've often looked in a mirror from across the room and no, looked across the room and saw somebody that I thought was cute and been like, "Oh, he is fine." And then it turns out to be me that I'm looking at in a mirror.
I'm going to reuse this quote right now
That
for
is fine.
tomorrow's promo.
That is
The
totally fine. Please use
narcissism
it.
of it
You,
all.
you always
So I guess what you're saying is you like people that look like you.
No, what I'm saying is I would date myself. if I was out there in the world, and I think that that's very healthy. I think that it shows that you have high self-esteem and as far as some components are concerned. Ooh, thank goodness his microphone came out. And no, I feel like that is it's a healthy thing, but I've dated a lot of guys and you know a lot of them and none of them look like me. So I think that it's
Yeah.
also a component to where you have to step outside that box and look at people for people. And I find many types of men attractive, so not just myself. So yes, the
We'll
answer
end
is would
on
I date myself?
that.
I find this entire list attractive.
Let us know how you weigh in that because I feel like it's a juicy one. But lastly, before we end the show, is one of straight up gay porn's always asking the question thirst trap recap. In this case, it's which one of these 15 gay porn stars took the best photo of the week. It's our job on an audio podcast because, of course, this show gets repackaged and you're listening to it primarily. But you can always go to our Patreon community to get the link to this, what we're talking about, and vote for yourself. Well, out of 15 gay porn stars, Kodi, how can you
Yes.
vividly describe on who you picked?
So my favorite is going to be Raphael Lee, Raphael's Playground. I went to his Twitter, and I don't know if he's straight or gay. And normally I don't vote for straight guys, but I think that this picture is, first of all, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's
Oh my
butt
God.
naked
Oh
with
my
the
God.
phone,
He should
taking a
win.
mirror. He's taking a mirror photo. I think he's like
He
third.
really should
He's take
win. And sorry, I got to cut you off real quick because there's like
okay.
really good picks this week. And I'll
Yeah.
go through the
So many guys
picks,
are hot.
but keep describing him because, yeah.
Yeah, he's got curly brown hair and a beard. He's got tattoos all over. He's got a whole sleeve on his right arm and then a little bit on his left forearm and then all over his torso. He's got like the dick of, a horse between his legs. And but what really like got me and made me say, "Oh, I don't care if he's straight or not," cuz on the mirror there are all these like affirmations. And I said, "That really warms my heart." He's got hardworking there, kind, confident,
Okay,
clean,
Hallmark.
and morning person.
We can
I just
leave
thought that
that
was
out.
really sweet. No, keep it in. Keep that in. I just thought it was really, really sweet and something that I might try and do on my mirror here in my room. Like, be like, oh, okay, you are an artist. You are
Are you done?
wonderful, kind, and smart. Like my affirmations from what's the movie with the housekeepers? Not Hidden Figures.
Okay.
Uh,
We only have so much time, and I want to
Go ahead.
read what
Sorry.
Diego picked. And I knew he was going to pick this one because it looks like he's in a hiking moment called Malik Delgatti. And he is looking tough with his arms crossed, naked with thunder, muscular thighs, like guns, but he's behind rocks and a waterfall. And I get why you would pick him. I love the opening shot of the first person that goes by Benjamin Bratt. Like, really? You're not Benjamin Bratt, but do you know the actor Benjamin Bratt, Cody?
Yeah, I think he's Benjamin
I
Bratt is
love Benjamin Bratt,
gorgeous, and Talisa
but
Soto, his wife, is gorgeous as well.
what? Okay, you're also named Benjamin? Okay, whatever. I don't even wanna
He
get
named
into it.
himself that. Yeah.
There's so many good photos on this, we just have to including Benja Viano, who has sitting with his arms when you put behind your head in a backwards cap, and he has a cum dripping that is going from the tip all the way to his ball sack, and it's a long journey into his balls would be another one. I would say Dom
Nick
King
Floyd.
is
Yeah.
looking really ripped with glasses and and ripped, of course. I see
Did he say me too?
Josh Moore is looking delicious, also
Yes, he
ripped with
is.
tattoos, legs spread, quads of steel. Corey Kane has the thickest cock, I think, in the whole thing and beautiful balls. We were just talking about, I mean, It really is on and on and on. Lastly, Thiago Bloom looking really good. I mean, wow. Yeah, wow.
Who do you pick? Who'd you pick?
I don't know who
All
I
of
picked. I
them?
think I picked all of them, but
You pick all of
Alan
them?
does. Nick Floyd,
I
lots
was
of
like, "Did I
co
miss
shots.
something?"
I mean, it's crazy. It is truly crazy. We
Can we
go to
talk about
our
Nick Floyd before we go?
yes.
That looks like it is AI sperm because whose
You
sperm is
think?
that perfect? Yeah, the one dripping from his dick looks like AI. I feel
Oh
like he photoshopped
no,
that.
I don't wanna
Yeah,
believe that.
I think
Were you
so.
on
I think he
Diego?
did. And
Oh, Diego saw the video, and what do you mean by that? That it was real? Diego says he saw the video, so he thinks it's real.
send me the video,
So,
Diego.
well, alright.
I
Well,
wanna look for
let's not hold
myself.
over. Can't go on anymore.
We gotta
Oh my
go.
gosh, you can always follow my co-host. Follow Kodi on Blue Sky and Instagram at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. And girl, we can't talk anymore. In the meantime, continue having hot
Hot
gay
gay
sex. Are we
sex.
going to the jockstrap party tonight?
Let's go, girl. Let's go.
Hey, more